Hey, my name is Alora, and I wanted to share a little bit of what my life has been like since taking ayahuasca in December of 2018. I'm happy to report that it is going pretty good. I'm loving life. I feel like I'm happier and more stable than I've ever been. And being diagnosed as bipolar, that's saying a lot, especially because I got off my medication. Yay! I feel like I'm able to be more of myself, like live life more fully as myself and be more open to people around me, while at the same time learning how to respect my own boundaries, which is huge. I feel like life in general is more magical. Ayahuasca giving me my soul back has made me feel like a kid again in a lot of ways, like more curious about life. It's given me more motivation to engage with life, whereas before I was stuck in this crazy depression that I didn't realize was so bad until now, because I'm starting to get out of it. I'm able to find joy in things again. Everything feels like a game a lot of the time. It's no joke when people say that after ayahuasca, weird things start happening, like synchronicities, or just the right thing falls into your life at the right time. And I think that's been huge for me, because I really feel like ayahuasca was a beginning for the path that I'm on now. It was definitely not a magical something to fix my life. And I mean, I never thought that ayahuasca was going to be a magical something to fix my life, but subconsciously, I'm ashamed to say, I guess I was also kind of thinking that. And although it was really profound and had this crazy impact that led me to be reborn, I felt reborn. And what does it mean to be reborn? It means you're like a baby again, and there's so much work to be done. Not work, well, yeah, work, but when you're a baby, you have to grow up. And yeah, it's been a crazy journey in that way. I've been growing up in a way that I can say that I'm proud of now, whereas before there was just always so much regret and shame and guilt. I'm learning how to love myself, which, language is so limiting, and people tell you to love yourself all the time, but until you start the process, you don't know what that's going to feel like. You don't know what it's like to let go until you actually let go. And so I'm learning how to let go, and I feel like that is thanks to ayahuasca. Ayahuasca kind of opened this gate inside of me to this new perception of reality that at first was really kind of difficult to deal with, but now I'm really starting to see the magic in everything again, and that is huge for me. But yeah, I guess I really want to say, though, that it's been a lot of work to get here. And like I said, ayahuasca opened up a lot, but I didn't realize how hard the integration was going to be. So when I came back, I was immediately just sensitive to everything. Like, even as soon as the airport and I was by myself, everything just felt like insanity. I couldn't handle crowds. I couldn't handle noises. My husband is one of those types of people who always is putting on something in the background, like Netflix, or he's playing a game or something. So there's always stimulation, and I was getting stimulated so quickly that just the noise was really getting to me. I live in LA, and it's just crazy here. The energy is crazy. Everything is so fast paced. So it was really difficult to come back to that. Thankfully, we live across from a big park, so I was really excited to run in the morning. Ayahuasca has really helped me. It's helped overall with gratitude of nature and of the people around me, of just my station in life. Just I'm so much more grateful and sensitive to that in my life as I've ever been. more aware of the abundance. I would say that ayahuasca in general just makes you more aware of everything. And that has not left me, and I'm happy to say. And Mother Ayahuasca has also not left me. I can't even remember what my mind was like prior to ayahuasca, when it was super negative. I can look in my sketchbooks and see that I was a mess. It was so dark, and I was so suicidal. And although I still sometimes have those thoughts when I get into one of my bipolar crazy lows, it's never as bad. And I can't even remember what that was like, because this Mother Ayahuasca positive voice has infiltrated my mind in like the best way possible. She is why I'm learning how to love myself. And I'm beyond grateful for that. Ayahuasca also, so another thing that happened pretty soon after I got back was my friend showed me this woman. Her name's Leah Lam, and she's a sacred storyteller. And that falling into my lap was huge, because she ended up becoming my mentor and helping me through a lot. She helped me learn how to set ritual, make a sacred space, and a lot of other things. That's a whole nother conversation. But she had this women's retreat, and I didn't realize how much I was craving this sense of community, where ayahuasca was the first time I was in this retreat environment with very like-minded people who, I could feel like there was no judgment. I could be as open as I felt like it, and I could talk to these people about life in a real way, like a real unmasked way. And I was really craving that when I got back, and I ended up going to Antarctica to do a half marathon with my friend. And even on the boat in Antarctica, I felt this kind of community retreat atmosphere, and I longed for that. And so when I started mentoring with Leah, she had this women's retreat, and then I went to that. And at the time, so another thing that ayahuasca did was it made me really want to connect to nature and connect to myself, and just go back to the root of things when things were simpler. And so I started reading the works of Clarissa Pinkola Estes. She wrote Women Who Run with Wolves, and she has like a lot of she's kind of like a female version of Joseph Campbell, where she goes into the symbolism and metaphor of fairy tales. And so I became really really obsessed with reconnecting to this wild version of myself. And so Leah's retreat was called Journey Home, finding the wild woman within, and that really helped. It continued what ayahuasca started and helped me reconnect with this kind of true self. And that's been monumental in all of this. I think so many of us have disconnected from that true self, and when you start this healing process, you realize that you are just trying to remember who you were born into this world to be in the very beginning of your life, before you were affected by society, before you were affected by even like your parents. Who is your true self? And so, that retreat really helped me. And then everything kind of snowballed. Like, after that retreat, I really wanted to be in a women's circle. And then I found this yoga studio like 2 minutes from my house that has just been there the 6 years that I've lived here, but I wasn't ready to go. I started going there to a women's circle called Women Join the Red Tent. And then I found a community that was close to me, close to home, where I didn't just miss all these people who I was connecting with on such a deep level and then leave. And so I'm now training to be a Kundalini yoga teacher at the studio. It's primarily a Kundalini yoga studio. And Kundalini yoga has also been really helpful to integrate what I learned in ayahuasca, because it is all about reconnecting to your true self. And it, unlike Hatha yoga, which is the most popular yoga practice like around, it's less of like a physical practice and more of like chanting, meditation, and holding these poses while doing breath work to put you in an altered state to take on. At the end, they do like a sound healing gong meditation. And I've had so many visions, like it reminds me of being in the ayahuasca ceremony. So after ayahuasca, I have been seeking things to remind me of it and put me kind of back into that state to keep healing and keep unearthing these parts of me that help to reverse these patterns and get rid of these blocks that have really made me get into my own way my whole life. So yeah, and now that I have that community and I've been doing this Kundalini yoga teacher training for about 5 months, I feel like even when I do go into one of those lows, I mean, you can't help, like, life is all about growing through pain. So in order to be okay and learn to be at peace with life, you have to learn how to deal with pain. And that's something that I've avoided my whole life. And especially being an Enneagram Type 7, a video that I want to make in the future, I was always running away and living this kind of escapist fantasy life, which ultimately made me so miserable that finding this community, following what the ayahuasca opened up for me, it really is starting to give me that sense of balance that was like my ultimate desire. Choosing to go do ayahuasca, I want to live in between worlds, and that's what Kundalini yoga teaches. And so it has been a great way for me to continue on this path that ayahuasca started. But yeah, and work-wise, I feel like I ended working at Warner Brothers. I work in animation. I ended work there, and I had like 6 months of a break for healing, and that was really monumental for me. I think after ayahuasca, like the integration has been more difficult than I thought, but it's helped me in unimaginable ways. Like the way that my mind is now, I never thought it would be possible before ayahuasca. I think it would take a lot of meditation to get here, but it is possible. My mind, I feel, was really extreme, but there's no way to tell, right? We're all living in our own separate realities anyway. But for specifically what I had to deal with, I feel like I'm finally getting the answers to that. And it took a lot of time being alone, a lot of being out in nature. I'm learning now what I need to keep my sanity, and that's going out into nature, going to the beach, spending time alone, having my own space, having a structure, having a set bedtime, getting up in the morning and exercising, getting my energy out. I'm learning so much more of what I've always needed to function at my best capacity, that I think I was too chaotic before to really even look at. I wasn't listening to myself. I wasn't listening at all. And something that Mother Ayahuasca told me during my death and rebirth experience was listen, respect, and focus. And so I'm really taking that to heart. I'm learning to listen to myself. I'm learning to listen to my higher self, learning to respect that, learning to respect what I hear from nature. Everything has become magical because I've opened myself up to the world in a way that I never thought I could. And that's made work a lot better too. Like, so I was on this 6-month break, and then now I'm working. I got this job by some miracle, which could be, I don't know. I just feel like I'm more attuned to the universe now since the ayahuasca. And that was one of the messages I got in my final ceremony, was to just surrender to the universe and surrender to source, and the abundance will come. And that's like what's happening. I ended up getting a job on one of my favorite shows ever, Rick and Morty, and I've been working there since October, and it's been great. Like, I feel like my anxiety at work it's lessened a lot, and I'm learning how to get over my fear of being open with people at work. So it's just helped in so many ways. And there's so much I want to share, especially like just kind of what my immediate reaction was coming back, but that's for another video. Coming back to the world after doing ayahuasca is a pretty scary thing, but you know, it makes you stronger, and I feel like it's definitely made me stronger. And yeah, I just think that I'm on a good path to become who I've always wanted to be, and that's saying a lot. Like, prior to ayahuasca, I felt hopeless. I was ready to die, and now the hope and light have come back, and just everything seems great. It's still challenging at times, but I can handle it so much better than I've ever been able to. And you know what? Ayahuasca gives you what you need. So I feel like she gave me what I needed, and I'm beyond grateful. But yeah, I think that's about it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave comments down below. I love answering questions, especially about this experience. There is so much that has happened and so much to share, and we'll see what I get around to. But I'm glad I'm finally doing these videos after a year. Thanks, Mother Ayahuasca. But yeah, so till next time, hope you got something out of this. Thanks.